Welcome to the Wellness League podcast. I'm your host Ella, and today my friend is Lana from Live and Breathe Active. Lana is an incredible human and an amazing athlete, and also the owner of Live and Breathe Active, also known as our sponsor. Let's dive into part 2 of the season final. So back onto onto Catfish. So I saw that your mum started the business, and then you took over a couple of years later. Let's have a chat about where that all began.
Yeah, so mum, she had 4 kids, 4 sporty kids, and she was a really handy sewer, and so we were those kids that had like matching outfits. And so she would always make us like these matching outfits where like I would have a skirt and my brother would have shorts and my other brother would have like overalls and my sister would have a pinafore, but all in the same, fabric.
That's so cool.
So she had her own little label at the time called Casey's, and just kind of made kids' clothes and sold them just to friends and stuff. So it was all very, kind of out of the garage. Yeah. And then when I was swimming and became a swimmer, she made all my swimwear. And then my friends wanted swimwear, so she made them swimwear. And then it kind of just grew and grew and grew to a point where by the time I was kind of out of school, like she was hand making in the garage on her own, like 300 pairs of the local surf club swimmers.
Wow.
In bottle green and wine. She was just on the machines, just sewing everything. She was doing everything.
Yeah.
So she kind of got to a point where she had grown out of the garage. And so she bought a little warehouse in a complex, which is where we still are. And she hired someone and, took that kind of big leap of faith to believe in this business of hers.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how Catfish started. Very much, she got help sewing at that point too, because she just couldn't do it all on her own.
Yeah.
And it took her a really long time to find sewers because, she was doing it. Like she knows all about it. So she still, up until like 6 months ago, she was still running all our production as well. So, the business has been going for like a really long time, like 25 years or something, but in, different iterations. And then I left my corporate job and decided to join the family business. And that was like probably 8 years ago now.
Yeah, what were you doing?
And like I'd always been around and I'd always gone to events with her. I was working in corporate communications for the National Australia Bank. So quite different.
Yeah.
I worked across a number of different areas. I worked in like the MLC wealth space. I worked in private wealth, banking. I worked in a little bit dabbled in like a wholesale space, wholesale banking. And then I ended up in the office of the CEO. I was doing a bit of work kind of with the office of the CEO doing internal comms. So I was kind of focused on employee comms. So helping with senior leaders, getting their messaging right and, doing a lot of employee morale stuff and helping to write for the intranet, the internal stuff. So just a range of different things that I did. So I was working there and then just made the call to leave and join mum. And I did a year in Melbourne where I kind of was getting a hang of like what the business was and everything, and then moved to Sydney. And the idea was always that I'd end up taking over. But we bought the business 3 years ago now. We had a pretty shocking, like our kind of COVID was really tough time for everyone, but we had obviously COVID's tough in a small business. But also my dad got really sick. He had a brain tumor and he passed away in May 2020. And then I had a miscarriage about a week before he died, 2 weeks before he died. And that was our second miscarriage. And then a year later, and we were literally in Shepparton dealing with funeral arrangements and everything, signing documents to buy the business. And I was 6 months pregnant. Like,
wow,
one of those you know, when it rains, it pours kind of
Yeah.
situations. We'd kind of talked to Mum about whether or not the timing was right or not, but we just decided that, you know, there's never a perfect time, and we were this far down the road, like, let's just get it done.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was like a really crazy grief time for us, to be honest. It took a lot of wind out of my sails. I'm a super positive, optimistic person. You know, Andy says that I live in Lana Land, which is this fabulous land where everything just goes perfectly right all the time and everything just goes my way.
Is it like the Barbie
and
world?
he jokes that he's the, like, you know, a
You
little bit,
live in
except
the Barbie
he's the
movie.
person behind, you know, making sure everything's actually happening. I haven't
Yeah.
seen the Barbie movie, actually.
Oh my God.
Um,
Okay, anyway, you need to
but
see it.
yeah, I know I have to.
He's the
I'm
one
bad at
who
going to
holds
movies.
like the background up.
Yeah, well, yeah, he's the one that just makes it all work. He's the guy that he describes it as, like, you know, a little mini cartoon of like a tornado, and then there's a guy with a broom after it. So I'm very lucky to have him.
Yeah.
But yeah, that kind of that time really knocked the wind out of my sails, just dealing with so much.
Yeah.
It was really foreign to me because I was so lucky that, you know, I was, I don't know how old I was, 30 something, and had never really dealt with through hardship or grief like that.
Yeah.
That I'd had a life where I'd lost grandparents, and you know what? At that point, I hadn't even lost grandparents. I'd lost great grandparents. You know, people on the periphery maybe I'd lost, and, you know, animals maybe had died, but nothing major that really shook us to the core. And, you know, Dad was, you know, he was a Superman. Like, he did everything. He was fit and strong. He'd come back from bike packing in Tassie and felt dizzy, and that's how we learned that he had this brain tumor. And because it was in his cerebellum, he was losing function, so he couldn't walk. He was losing the ability to walk and that kind of thing. And because it was in the cerebellum, it couldn't be operated on. Like, they couldn't remove it. And it was also a type of tumor that we called it the white dot disease, but it was like, I always imagined a tumor was a thing, and it was just everywhere, little dots everywhere. Yeah, so that he had that for 14 months, and unfortunately for probably the last 6 months, I know I might be remembering wrong, but he couldn't really communicate. He lost his voice, and so he couldn't talk really. And we had to really, he couldn't write either because of where it was impacting his ability to write and stuff as well. It was really difficult to see this man that, you know, there was literally a 1% chance he would live, but we believed he would be the 1%. Of course he would be the 1%. And it wasn't until he went into palliative care and my stepmom sat down with me and said, you know what this means, right? I was like, but I'm not giving up on him. Of course he'll get through. And even talking about it, I just, you know.
Yeah, I know exactly.
It was just awful.
Yeah, I haven't lost a parent, like you said, but watching a grandparent. Yeah, look, I'm sure he's looking down on her, and no, that I know I know exactly what you're talking about. That experience, it's horrible to watch somebody go through that.
Yeah, and to see this person that is, you know, your, I don't know, inspiration in a lot of ways. You know, he always had ideas of new events to do and new things to do. So it was kind of, hard to
move on from that.
Imagine him not being there.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear.
Yeah.
So
anyway, no, it's all good.
No, it's as hard as it is to talk about and everything. Sometimes I feel like this stuff has to be spoken about, and, you know, everybody goes through it, but
100%.
At the time you never know how hard it is, and it's nice to know that other people out there have gone through similar experiences.
Absolutely. And I am such an advocate of mental health, and you know, I had to take time out of the business. I had to take time out to, like, I didn't work for months because I would I would literally start crying at the drop of a hat, and I was no use to anyone. If the phone rang, I'd cry, like, and so I just couldn't function, and it took a lot of counselling to get me, and a long time to get me functioning again like a normal human. You know, I'm still dealing with grief. I had a miscarriage late last year. I would have been due about a month ago. And you know, that hit me so hard. I thought, you know, it was my third miscarriage. I thought, and not that you get better at it, but you get better at dealing with it, and you just don't. And every time is different. And I just think it's so important to have people around you who can help advocate for your positive mental health, and who can say it's okay to, I don't know, have a day off because you need it to be a better person. And we at, you know, in our business, if someone is like, I need today, we say go for it. It's a mental health day. You take the day, no questions asked. You do what you need to do, because I want people in here pushing through. Like, we're not saving babies. We're what we do is important, but, you know, it's not. We're not life or death. If you need a day to be a better person, it's so important. But yeah, I suppose in us taking over the business and everything, that was a huge part of it. It was that whole transition was just a massive transition in our life. So many things were changing. It was just a huge time, and yeah, it was. In hindsight, man, I don't know how we did it all. You know, we had a new business, like we bought the business, and then, you know, I had Georgia in November, so it was 3 months later, and I was off work for essentially 4 months, working out how to care for this human full time. Like, how do I keep this kid alive?
You've done like how many Ironmans?
Yeah,
it was
like, so.
What's a baby?
Seriously, babies, man, they're hard.
Couldn't tell you.
Yeah, it's I'd take an Ironman any day. I mean, I deeply love Georgia. She's amazing, but that newborn stage is hard. I found it really difficult because they need you. They are so dependent on you, and it's like, just, you can't get your own space, and you can't do your own things, and you have this small human who needs everything from you. And that was really hard. That was really hard for me, not to have my own space. To feel like I was constantly required. And in those early stages, like, you know, the primary parent, the milk giver is it. The non-milk giver can't do that much. We did a little bit of bottle feeding. What was that?
I said you can't strap the milk onto him.
No, you can't. We did a bit of bottle feeding and stuff, but ultimately it was kind of more hassle than it was worth. It was just easier to put her on the boob than to worry about pump. And when I came back to work and Andy would take a day off to be with her, then that was different. But ultimately, if it meant I got up at 7 and then 11 p.m., like, it was just what I did. Andy did try and take that nighttime shift, that 11, kind of 10 or 11 p.m. shift for me. So I'd just, you know, express some extra milk, and he could do that for me. And then I'd get up again at, you know, 2 or 4 or whenever she woke up. But that was a crazy first year of owning a business.
How long after owning the business did you rebrand?
So it was about 2 years later. We actually had the name Live and Breathe in our back pocket for, like, I don't know, 5 or 6 years. Like, this had been on the cards for a long time, even with Mum. Like, Mum and I talked about it. She was on board. But the reality is, rebranding is hard, man.
Yeah, I know.
It's huge.
Yeah.
It's huge. And there was never a good time, and there is no good time. So, but we also knew, with what Andy and I wanted to do with the business, we knew that the name Catfish, from a retail brand perspective, it had a ceiling for us.
Yeah.
We have grand plans of, you know, going into the US, and
the meaning of catfish around the world.
It's got negative connotations.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, when you're looking online for tri-suit or swimwear or activewear or whatever, and you've got a choice of two brands that you know nothing about, you're probably not going to choose the one that means to scam you online. So,
Very true.
you know, we felt like, yeah, we just felt like we were kind of, we had to do it to achieve what we wanted.
Yeah.
Our business is 70% custom. So we have our custom business is actually huge, and we've got a lot of big swim centers and pools and like netball uniforms and outrigging paddle. Like we do heaps of stuff custom.
And boot camp.
And that is the bread and butter of our business. And boot camp gear, exactly. All the things.
Honestly, I still wear my stuff.
Because
I still live in my jumper, and so many members are like, we need to order more. And I was like, oh my God, I'm speaking to her today. I will sort it out.
Perfect.
That's crazy.
That's it. And so like that stuff, exactly, that's it. And, you know, yeah, we've been doing that for so long. We felt like changing the retail brand was a big call, but changing both was going to be just ridiculous. And part of the decision around this rebrand was, you know, custom is quite big and retail was growing, and they were not, and they're not really complementary in that it's not like we just do custom tri-suits or we just do custom swimwear. We do a lot custom that we don't necessarily do retail. So it was becoming really confusing when you landed on our website as to what it was we did. If you were a swim center looking for instructor rashies and you landed on our website promoting tri-suits, it was confusing. So that was a big driver behind this change, was to not just, you know, have this fancy new retail brand, but also to really elevate that custom side of the business and give it its own space and the space that it deserves. So we've kind of been building two brands. So in it, we were, you know, I built two new websites. We're still working on the Catfish website to get it to where we really want it to be. We want it to be a really self-serve experience, custom, to let people, I don't know, I want to just order things online. I don't want to talk to someone. We can still talk to people. I'm happy to talk to people, but there are a lot of people who are like me. It's like, well, this is my logo. I want the black shirt. Can you just do it? Here's my money.
I think that's the way that brands and businesses are going, and it's the way that they need to go.
Absolutely. So it's tricky because to make something custom gear is quite complex. Because there's a lot of it depends. But you need a lot of detail. But a lot of people don't want the detail. They just want you to tell them what they should get. So we're trying to build something that kind of is a curated list of stuff that we know, you know, most people want, so that people can self-serve. And if you've got some really specific requirements, like, let's have a chat, we can help you out. So we're moving to that, but it's just taking a bit longer than we'd thought to really get that nailed, because doing something quite complex simple is a really difficult thing. So we've just been kind of ticking away on that, and we're getting there. We're getting there slowly.
So with the rebrand of Live and Breathe, I noticed, and Hannah mentioned, there's a bit of a story behind the pattern of the ocean theme as well. How did that come along?
All of our prints, we have collaborated with artists, and that is one of the things that was really important to us with Live and Breathe, was that we really elevate the work of the artists. You know, you're essentially, all our prints are literally commissioned artworks, so you're not going to find them anywhere else. They are just for us, and
so good.
We wanted to elevate those artists and the work that they do as well. So the reef print that Hannah wears, that is an artist by the name of Ali Bryan, and she's a local Northern Beaches artist. I actually came across her years and years and years ago, and I've always loved her work. I've got like she did some stuff on tea towels, and I've got some of those, and we started a conversation, but it was never really the right time to work with her. And then with the launch of Lab, it was perfect. So, you know, she's very drawn to the ocean. We're actually, and it's probably better, honestly, to hear her talk about it. And our podcast, to do a little cross promo,
I was just going to ask
the
you
next
that.
episode, which is actually coming out, next week, on the 15th of every month, we launch, we have our new episodes. And the next episode is with Ali, and she does talk at length about that reef print.
Oh, that's so cool. Hang
I
on.
think I wouldn't do it justice. So go and listen when it comes out on the 15th. So 15th of May, it should be out. And
when your pod drops, so you will be out the week after, so it will already have dropped, and I'll tag it in the show
already
notes.
be out. Perfect.
Yeah.
Fabulous. Yeah, that would be great. Yeah. So she's great. She's a really interesting person. It was a really interesting conversation, quite different to some of our other podcasts who are with athletes, to be with an artist. Yeah, so we're talking to her, and then with the next podcast after that is with Dominique Collins, who is the other artist that we've worked with for the Australiana prints, and so she talks a lot about her inspiration too. So the next couple of episodes we've got on our Pursue Your Happy podcast is with the artists that we partnered with. So yeah, definitely give those a listen, because they talk about it way better than I would do it justice.
It's become one of my favorite podcasts now. You're matching up like the sport and design and art together. I'm like, this is a dream. I'm like forever refreshing my Spotify. Well, you know, hurry up, Lana, I need another episode.
I know. We're only doing once a month. I want to do more, but everyone around me, they know me, and they need to curb my enthusiasm because I overcommit myself. So they're like, no, Lana, you've committed to once a month. Do once a month.
Yeah, from doing this weekly to now twice weekly, honestly, stick to your once a month, because it is so much work.
I don't know how you do it.
I don't know either, but anyway, it's happening at the moment. In between that and
you're killing it. Well done.
Boot camp and Ironman training, honestly, it is a struggle, but it gets out, and it's always up there at Wednesday at 6 a.m.
Yeah, I'm very impressed. I'm very impressed.
Yeah.
Big news time. We have a big brand new sponsor for the Wellness League podcast. So, can you guess who it is?
Hi, I'm Lana from Live and Breathe Active, or LAB, a small family-run business run by a group of passionate people that, well, we live and breathe this shit. Whether it's run, swim, cycle, or try, we make gear to get you through those tough training sessions. We help you get up before sunrise, and we will still be there with you well after sunset. You will see us before you hear us, with bespoke prints designed by artists just for you. We are driven by our values and are focused on performance and community. And we are super proud to be partnering with the Wellness League podcast in the Try series. Find out more or shop online at liveandbreatheactive.com. We can't wait to have you as part of the crew.
How good is that, hey? Discount codes and the link will be in the bio. But you know what? Let's go back to the pod.
But so on to Live and Breathe, what's coming in the future? I see you do go to a lot of events and have your big tent up now, but what's the events you've got coming in the future?
Yeah. So look, this year for us is all about getting out there. We know we've got to get in front of people to get them to know our brand, touch and feel, see things in person. So we've had a lot of travel, and we're continuing on a lot of travel. We're going to the Gold Coast 30, which is the 18th, 19th May. And then after that, we've got a bit of a break, which we'll be grateful for, because we've had kind of weekend on, weekend off travel for the last little while. So we'll be up in Cairns for the Ironman in Cairns, which we always love. So we'll be up there, and then I think we're kind of done until like September. We're doing a bit of traveling, some actual like holiday traveling. We're going to Europe for 6 weeks.
Nice.
So in July and August. So we'll be madly trying to get everything kind of sorted in the business so that everything can kind of run smoothly while we're away.
I'm sure it'll be fine.
So yeah, we've got a couple more events up. Yeah, and look, we've got Shona works with us, and she is like our customer service / person who runs the business while we're traveling, and she's amazing. And so the business will be in good hands. And we run our own business. We're never that far away from work. So yeah, she'll be running it all, but we want to help, make it as smooth as possible. So we've got, a couple more events. Then we've got actually a new release coming. We've got some new wintry stuff, so tights and long sleeve tees and that kind of thing coming, I reckon around the 1st of June.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Then, I'm really excited actually. It's been like a bit of a hole in our collection till now, so we're excited to get it kind of released.
Anyway, because obviously wearing a t-shirt, and this is so comfy, and before I received the pants from like the shorts from you, I honestly have never run in shorts and been comfortable. Like to a point where you do like the chafing or they're rolling up, they're rolling down, and I'm just like, I gave up. And so many of my friends are like, you just need to go and buy some. And I'm like, why when you can just run in like 7/8? Like, fine, I'd rather just be hot than have to deal with the chafe. As soon as I got those bloody things, honestly, running has been so comfy. No chafe and they don't roll. Like, everybody's like, the pattern's amazing. And I'm like, guys, you need to go and shop over here. But the designer that you did
seriously,
so well.
I made those shorts so that I could run in shorts because I had the exact same experience as you. I am a strong-legged woman, and I was literally like, Andy and I almost broke up going into that Geelong 70.3 because he would come running with me and I would literally tuck tantrums about my stupid shorts rolling and riding and chafing and I'm uncomfortable. And he's like, why are we doing this if you're going to be so annoying? So when I joined the business, one of the first things I did, I'm like, we need to make some shorts. At the time, we were only doing swimwear. So I saw potential in like the activewear space and try and cycle. Yeah, I'm like, I want shorts that I can run in. And so I made these shorts. I designed them. And my mum and sister at the time were like, they're too long. No one's going to buy them. And I'm like, can we please just take them to one event? Like they were ready to cut them shorter. And I'm like, please take them to one event, get people to try them on. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm happy for you to cut them shorter, give them a chance. Sure enough, those mid-thigh shorts are our number one selling item. Like we sell out of our mid-thigh shorts time and time again.
Buy them in every colour.
Well, we're restocking. Good news. The black ones are really good. They're a little bit different, but they're really nice. And then we're restocking the Australiana, which sold out. And we've got new prints coming. So look, there's a lot of good stuff coming. We've got a whole new collection partnering with the Indigenous artist that we work with, Moralma King. Give her a follow, Moralma Art. She has beautiful, beautiful stuff. And we've got a new artwork that we commissioned from her. Yeah, I will. Yeah, they're great. Definitely, all of them are followed. They've all got great stuff. But yeah, Moralma, she actually delivers us whole canvases and we need to digitize them to get them ready to print. So it's taken us ages to digitize this one just because we've had a little bit going on. And we're finally done and it's going to be so good. I'm like ridiculously excited. So that release is probably July, August, September. We'll kind of see how we go with getting all that out. Yeah, kind of coming more into summer.
So good.
Lots of exciting stuff coming. We're very excited. We're working on some other stuff. Probably it's still currently in development, but probably for release next year, we're hoping is a merino wool kind of base layer collection.
Oh, nice.
So to have some really great, long sleeve t-shirt and like singlet base layers in the merino wool that people can wear under gear, over gear.
Love that.
Off trails, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so that's something I love and I've been really passionate about developing. So
nice.
Lots of good things coming. We're always working on stuff. Like there's always stuff in the works.
So good. So what's a sliding door moment in your life where you kind of turn left or right and it's changed the progression of your future?
Absolutely my decision to leave corporate. I remember I learned a lot from my time at NAB and they hired me as a graduate out of uni. I did an arts degree. I majored in political economy and I did honors in political economy. So I kind of moved myself a little bit into that finance space. But ultimately, I had an arts degree and they went high, it was 2009. Like it was the GFC, so I'm really grateful that they kind of they believed in me, I suppose, and they took me into their graduate program. I learned a lot. My maths teachers all laughed when I told them that I worked at a bank because I was never strong at maths. So I said, don't worry, I'm not doing any numbers stuff.
How do you feel like your experience
I had a great
helps a business now?
Honestly, I had I had a couple of really great kind of mentors, like bosses who kind of became mentors, who role modeled some great leadership. I also, because I worked in that communications team, being in a comms team in a big bank like that, you're kind of operating more at a strategy level. So you're not doing you're not dealing with mortgages and that kind of thing. You're talking to senior leaders and you're understanding the strategy of the business and how to execute that strategy. And you're seeing a lot of good leadership and you're seeing a lot of bad leadership. You get a lot of vision across a corporation. So I think that absolutely gave me a lot of tools and a lot more, I got a lot more out of it subconsciously, than I realized. Yeah. And, that was great. I had the tools of a big, when I chose Big Four banks that I could, see that, they had Kaizen and I was a Kaizen champion. And, I've always been one of those people that if I'm in, I'm in. So, I was the Kaizen champion and I was the, person who organized the morning teas and I just did all the things. I always put my hand up. But ultimately, I was getting a bit disillusioned. It was super political. It was a pretty toxic team at the time. The team culture wasn't great, despite being a 5A employee. So I was getting, the top marks in all my performance reviews on everything through attitude through to my output, but I was constantly being overlooked for promotions. And I personally think it was in favor of men who were cocky and had the right attitude, but that's my opinion. I don't know. Maybe I just thought I was better than I was. I don't know, but it really infuriated me that I was being told on one hand how phenomenal an employee I was and how great I was doing, and on the other hand I was applying for promotions and not getting them. And these people who were on the same level as me, who had been in the business the same amount of time as me, who were not getting the reviews that I was getting, and they're getting the job, not me. And I was kind of politically, there was a lot happening in the team at the time. I was getting pretty disillusioned. Everyone was in the team. And at the time, Mum wasn't really sure what she was going to do with the business. She'd been in it for a long time. It was hard. And she's like, I don't know if I'm going to keep it open or not. Maybe I'll just close the doors. And I was like, what if I come work for you? And she's like, okay, well, that would be great. So I think that decision, and that wasn't a decision taken lightly, because when I resigned, my boss, honestly, her jaw hit the floor. She was just like, no one is going to believe this, because I was still on all the committees of doing everything. I was a really engaged employee. What they didn't realize is that I'm either an engaged employee or I'm out the door. I'm not going to be a disengaged employee. And I remember the literal day, I remember deciding I was going to quit. And I woke up that morning and I couldn't be bothered going to work. And I call it a CBF day. And I have never, ever in my life felt that way. Nothing I've ever done have I felt that way. And that day I called in a sickie and I said to Andy, I have to quit. It's over. I can't do it. So I went in the next day and I quit. And they offered me I was done. And they offered me to have, can't even remember what it's called now, but where you have a year off and you get your job back in a year's time. And I said, no, I don't want that. I don't want a safety net because I'm going to make this work. I don't want to give myself the opportunity. I don't want to give myself a parachute. I'm like, I'm going to make this work. And if I have the opportunity to say, oh, this is too hard, like maybe it won't, but I've just got to believe and dive, both feet in.
Yeah.
So what did I did.
Before he
so he, honestly, I've always believed this, he's way more qualified in this business than I am. He's a graphic designer. So he's done a graphic design course. So he's got that experience. He worked at a magazine, a mountain bike magazine, for a long time. So he did like layouts and photographs and did a lot of their graphic design, wrote some articles. He did a lot of their photography for articles as well. And then he got a job at a Monza Imports, which is a big bike distributor.
Yep.
And he was the brand manager for a number of brands in Australia, like Fox mountain bike. Pretty big. Yeah. And he was in the same business as like Cannondale. He was brand manager for a brand called Louis Garneau, which is a Canadian cycling brand, or like a apparel brand. Worked with Design Components, and he was the brand manager in Australia for that. So he would go over to like Fox USA, and he would have input in product development, and he ordered everything for Australia. He was the person who decided whether we buy pink or black, and how many of them. And he was the guy. Yeah. So, yeah, right. So he actually knows how to run this business. I just have really big ideas.
Well,
back
what a
to
team,
the,
right?
tornado and the sweeping.
The brick and the mortar.
Exactly. So, so we're really lucky kind of to have each other, and we have a real mutual respect for what each other brings to the table. Yeah. I know it can be really hard for him sometimes because he has to be the no person, whereas I'm like, we should do this and we should do that, and I had this great idea, and he's like, how I kind of see it is he ensures that we actually have a sustainable business.
Put food on the table
by making sure we can like afford all the things. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Whereas I'm the one who's constantly pushing and pushing for more. Like, we can go bigger, we can do better, we should do extra, we should. Exactly. I think we're a great team. And, I think it's hard because we, I don't want to discount what he, like his ideas either, because he absolutely has great ideas and all that kind of thing. It's just that he knows I'll say yes. So, we need to, it's good for us to kind of to work together in that way. Yeah. And, when he joined the business, like, seriously, he left. He was Intense Australia. So Intense is a mountain bike brand out of the US. It's a kind of boutique high-end mountain bike brand. And he was the Intense guy for Intense Australia on his own business when we moved to Sydney. And then ended up going from direct to a distributor again, and he worked for that distributor, but it was way out west in Sydney, and it was just a huge commute. And, he didn't move to Sydney to commute an hour each way. So we were kind of at a point where in Catfish that we needed an extra person, and he was at a point where he was really sick of the commute. And so we had a really good chat, like my mum and I did when I joined the business, about what it is that we want and how important the relationship is first. Like for me, coming into the business with mum and I, we actually had a really big chat about, our relationship is first and foremost most important. And, I don't want anything to get in the way of that. Yeah. And if we have issues, then let's have a plan, like almost like a third party mediator to come in and make a call, because I don't want any business decisions to get in the way of like the great relationship we have.
So are any of your siblings
and we had the same, Angie and I had the same chat. Yeah, well, we've just hired Pascal, my sister. One in, one out policy. Mum retired, Pascal came in. We're really excited to have her. Actually, she is an absolute breath of fresh air. She is different again in terms of personality type. She sits somewhere between me and Andy. And she is a little bit. She's 7 years younger than me. She's got a good head on her shoulders. And she's quite a deep thinker. And so she thinks Like, she really thinks about stuff. She understands different people's perspectives. You know, I throw out these ridiculous ideas all the time, and she'll often like give a sideways glance to Andy, like, "Are you letting this happen?" Or, you know, her and I will get together and on a roll, and Andy has to put a step into it. So she kind of sits between us. But it's been really great having her on board, and you know, we all work really well together.
So
yeah, we've got to be better at recruiting out of the family. But we've got Shona, and Shona is amazing. So we've got one at least.
So what's the importance of showing your daughter this fit and healthy lifestyle that you live as well?
Yeah, I think it's so important. And you know, I get really torn, and I'm sure not just mum, but I think every parent probably feels this too.
Yeah.
But I get torn between wanting to show her the importance of having that great lifestyle and being fit and healthy, and the importance of getting outside, and, you know, of feeling strong and good in your body, and having a really positive like body image, and, you know, feelings about yourself almost.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is, you know, going for a run or being on the trainer or going for a swim. But then the other part is like, I don't want to go out on a 6-hour bike ride and miss out on time with her.
Yeah.
Because, you know, they say, I saw this thing that's like, basically you spend like 9% of your kids, the time you spend with your kids is before they're 12.
Yeah.
And I don't want to miss that. You know, as she's getting older, we're able to do more and more things. Like I've got a running pram, so I run with her. It's very funny. Whenever I'm dressed to run, she's like, "Mummy, are you sweaty?" And she'll touch me. She won't give me a cuddle. She has to check that I'm not sweaty before she gives me a cuddle.
Gold.
She gets very offended if I go swimming without her. So we do a lot of swimming together.
Yeah. So good.
Yeah, so I get her in the ocean as much as I can, and we duck under waves, and, you know, all sorts of things. From when she was really, really little, I've had her in the ocean, just getting used to that and not being scared, and understanding and learning as well. I think that's really important. And we've got a bike. Andy would like her to be mountain bike world champion. I think she's got my self-preservation, so I don't know how that's going, but she's got a little bike, and she's getting better and better and stronger on it. But she loves fixing bikes, and so there's just like, you know, she's always down the back. And is actually a bike mechanic as well as a side thing, and so he's got a heap of bikes that he fixes, and so she likes to go down and fix bikes with him. And yeah, so I think it's important, but it is just that balance where at the moment I'm kind of focusing more on running, because I can go out for a half-hour run or even an hour's run. I can get a lot out of that time. I can even do it with her on the pram. Whereas if I'm doing triathlon, it's just, you know, it's a couple of sessions a day. It's a lot of time out. It's a lot of expectation on Andy to pick up where I can't. Yeah. So while she's still not as self-sufficient, I'm just going to do a heap of running, and then maybe next year I'll pick up another 70.3. I raced Husky Tri in February, and that was my first kind of try back that I signed up for and worked towards, which was awesome. Running is good, because you get a lot of bang for buck out of running.
So what's something you're consuming at the moment in terms of podcasts, TV shows, and books and movies?
Yeah, I'm an avid reader. I love reading, and I listen to a lot of podcasts.
Yeah.
I just read Lola in the Mirror by Tread Dalton. Oh my gosh, strongly recommend it. It's so good. Mm-hmm. I don't know, page turner. It was uncomfortable. It was great. Strongly recommend it. And then I just finished reading The Island of Sea Women, which is about this island called Jeju. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong. Jeju. And it's set in like the 1930s and 40s. And so there's like Japanese occupation and American occupation. And it's kind of, the whole story is centered around these women called again, I'm going to say it wrong, Heianyo. And they are sea women. So their whole society is a matriarchy. So the women go out and they dive for food, and they are the breadwinners, and the men look after the children.
Complete opposite.
And so, yeah. And it's just about their society and their culture and that tradition and how that kind of came up against the colonists and the Japanese colonists and the American colonists. And anyway, again, really great read. Strongly recommend it. Island of Sea Women. I can't remember the author. So I've just finished that. So they've been 2 books I've read lately.
Love that.
Podcast, obviously I'm listening a lot to my own because I'm, editing it. So Pursue Your Happy, give it a listen.
Yeah.
New. But also I listen to a lot of Chat 10 Looks 3 with Annabelle Crabb and Lee Sales.
Nobody else listens to it.
I love it. It is.
Oh my God.
I love it. I literally, like, my secret hobby is that I cross stitch.
Yeah.
And I see cross stitching as kind of like training for Iron Man, like it's slow and it's hard and you don't see results, and then all of a sudden you look back and you can't believe how far you've come.
Yeah.
So I know it's funny kind of metaphor, but anyway, I cross stitch and I've just knitted my first jumper. Actually, can I show you? Sitting here.
Yes, please.
Look, I knitted this.
This is so cool. Oh my God, I love that. So can we bring out a Living Breathe? Can you bring out a lab knitted
range?
Mate.
Honestly, some of my stitches are a bit questionable.
Nobody cares. It looks amazing. But oh my God, Chat 10 looks great. I love anything that has Lee Sales on it. Like anything that she does is just so good. Yeah. Everybody thinks I'm nuts, but now that they put it on YouTube, I stick it in the corner of my computer screen. Oh my God, I love it. And I feel like a bloody 50-year-old woman chatting alongside them, and nobody else gets what it's like to love listening to them too.
It's the best.
But
I love it. And I honestly,
the episode about Ryan Reynolds, the Ryan Reynolds one where and I'm
multiple episodes about Ryan Reynolds.
No, the latest one is about 3 weeks ago. Anyway, I'm sitting at work doing something really complicated, and she starts talking about him, and I was like, literally, I've watched all Welcome to Wrexham too, and I was like, oh my God, this is so good.
Yeah, I love that podcast, and I also listen to a lot of This American Life.
Oh,
I don't know if you've ever listened to that.
I haven't listened to it.
It's just it's good because they're about an hour. It's like a radio show, so they split it into 4 segments and they talk about a topic, and it could be, I don't know, they're kind of random. One of them that was quite good actually, which is questions people are asking but they're not asking.
Okay.
So an example was this same-sex couple, they'd moved in together. Their family was really supportive, but when they moved in together, the family, everyone kept asking them, so who's handy? And what they were actually asking was, who's the man?
Yeah, yeah.
And, it's kind of stories like that where people are asking questions that aren't really asking the questions that they really want. So anyway, it's a good listen. It's easy. I think it was in that one too. There was another one that had this great excerpt of a short story, and it was these 2 women writing letters to each other that are school parents about an incident between their daughters, and it is so good. It just escalates. So I strongly recommend it. It's really good. I really enjoy listening to those. I listen to some of the triathlon hour and that kind of thing too. Yeah. But I kind of prefer, I actually listen to a lot of just life stuff. We live and breathe all that triathlon space. So
you listen to
kind of nice to get out
loud as well.
And you know what? I've never gotten into it, but I've always thought I should.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I reckon I've listened to it for about.
You'll need to send me an episode to start on.
Okay, I'll find one. You know what a good one is? Relation, like Em Rusciano's one. That is a good podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, get onto that. That's bloody. I'll send you a whole list.
I'll put it on. Yeah, the list.
This is like a life of having an office job. I listen to podcasts all day.
Perfect. All right. And then we watch. I don't really watch movies because
too long.
Well, they're too long, and I don't really get a chance to start watching a movie till after 7, and I need to go to bed before 9. So
literally the same person. If I'm not in bed by 9,
I'm we could start it at. Yeah, I'm if we could start a movie at 4 p.m. and like finish it by 6. Happy days. I'll watch any movie you like. But you know, and when movies are 3 hours, I'm like, man, I could give you tips on where to edit some of that out. You don't need all of that.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a director. But anyway, so
you know everything.
Exactly. Well, that's exactly right. So I've just been watching. I was kind of sick, and so I binge watched. I had some time on my own, so I binge watched Made.
No,
it's on Netflix, and it's very good. MAID. It's about anyway. It's kind of a bit full on, hour-long episodes. So I don't normally get to watch that much, but yeah.
You need to get onto Clarkson's Farm.
It's good.
That's what I'm obsessed with at the moment.
Clarkson Farm.
Yeah, you know, so Jeremy Clarkson that was in Top Gear England for like forever. He bought this farm outside, it's about an hour and a half, 2 hours out of London. And oh my God, he hires this farmer boy, and it's just about them, like the life of building the farm. The council that they live in don't want a part of it. They like it's like gangbusters. Everybody's going to this farm, to the farm shop to buy what he's made. And the council are like, we can't control all the people coming into the town, and so they're trying to shut it down. And it's just so good. It's real. Like he's actually doing it.
Okay, great. On the list. Definitely on the list.
That's so. All right. So we had a couple of listener questions come in from our mutual friend, Hannah.
Wow. Oh, good. We love Hannah.
She wants to know what's something in the ocean that represents your personality?
Gosh, that's a tricky one.
Yeah.
You know, I think, you know, I'd like to say I think a dolphin.
I'm actually going to say that.
Which, you know, I feel like I feel like it's a bit of a easy answer. But my reasoning is I honestly think I'm a bit all show. So like, you know, jumping out of the water, and I don't know. I'm kind of that like exuberant and, you know, everything. But also I was a butterflyer, so I really feel the dolphin kick, and I sometimes, you know, like to believe I'm a bit of a dolphin. But when I've seen dolphins while I've been surfing, it's been a bit terrifying. They are big, man. Like they are big.
Her other one was if you could
scary
make
when you kind of come face to face.
So the other one was if you could make a multi-sport event, right? So you could choose the disciplines. What would you have them to be, and why?
Well, obviously we do quite a long swim. We do like a 4K swim.
Okay, long distance swim.
And I think long distance swim, we'll just cull all the people that aren't swimmers straight out of there.
See you later.
And yeah, I think I'd like a gravel ride, like not really mountain bike, but not road, but like gravel, so something that's a little bit tricky but still like accessible.
Yep. How far are we going?
And let's go 30K. I think that's enough. 30K, maybe 40.
Yeah.
And then look, I think a 10K run is good at the end. So I'm happy with a 10K run at the end. So it's kind of like an Olympic distance with an Ironman swim. That would be great.
Yeah,
and a little bit off-road, like gravel, and I think it would be a trail run too. Oof. So definitely, and the swim would definitely be in the ocean. Like I'm talking, like I want waves. Like, I want to catch a wave in.
Yeah. So you're really only swimming like 3K and get the extra K on waves.
Yeah. I mean, look, I'm happy to bring it down to 3K if people are a bit annoyed by the distance, but you know, none of this 1K piddly little swim stuff. That's so unfair.
We love this. What are we calling it? Like the Lana Tri or something?
Yeah. It can be, maybe we'll start a tri-series. Maybe we'll do the lab tri-series, and it will be like ocean swim, mountain bike, trail run, or like gravel ride, trail run.
Sounds good. I love this. Oh,
so here we go with the ideas. Andy's going to kill me.
All right. On to the best part. It's 5 fast questions. So the numbers are in between 1 and 20, and it's the first thing that comes to your mind. So what's your first number? Number 4 is something that you look forward to in the future.
Well, I think Georgia growing up. Like I'm really excited to see Georgia growing up. Yeah, and to the person that she'll become.
Yeah. All right, next number.
14.
Okay. So if you could go back and tell your younger self something, what are you saying?
You are fitter and skinnier and stronger than you know.
Yeah. Love that. That's such straight to the point.
Because I look back and times that I thought I was so fat and like, you know, not good enough or not strong enough or didn't look right. And man, I was so fit and strong and skinny and fabulous. You know, just, you know, you forget. So, yeah.
Love that. Next number.
16.
Okay, 16. If you won the lottery and you've got 3 items to spend it on, what are you buying?
Well, definitely like a holiday house, like on the beach in like where there's no one else. Like I want land and no neighbors and like beach access.
I'll design the house for you.
And multiple houses on it so that
I'll design
multiple dwellings so like people can come and live, like stay with us, and so definitely that. I'd have a nice holiday and with like my family, like, you know, see if I could get everyone away together at some point and like we could all do stuff together. And then like super boringly, I wouldn't buy anything, but I'd like put it into some investment so that I could just work for fun and I wouldn't actually have to worry about, you know, how many orders we've got today.
Yeah, that's cool. All right, next number. Okay, number 8 is 3 things that make you happy.
Well, Georgia makes me smile. Steve definitely makes me happy. I think, just my family. I think my family make me so happy. I'm so lucky
Andy.
to have such a beautiful, supportive Andy. I know, exactly. I was going to like add him as a second one, but I think we can do like together, you know, family. Yeah. And that includes like my mom and my sister and obviously Andy and like, my family. I'm really lucky to have such a great family.
Yeah.
It sounds ridiculous, but something that really makes me happy is when we go to an event and we see people try our gear on and the way their like body language changes when they walk out of the change room and they feel amazing. Like that is why we do this.
Yeah. Like when I sent you the message about how those thoughts change my running.
Yes. Exactly.
I've never been so excited about pants.
You know. Well, that's it. And it just like we know we do a really good product. And so but you know, it's hard and, you know, you feel really beaten down a lot of the time and, you know, you sit around and you're like, are we even making a difference? And then when those moments happen, it just makes it all worthwhile. And that just makes my heart sing. And then the last one is that feeling you get at the end of something hard. So whether it's a hard training session that you weren't sure you could do or like, I don't know, some hard interval efforts with the swimming or running or riding or finishing an event and just that moment where you sit and you just reflect on what you just achieved. Like that makes me so happy.
So good. What's your last number?
20.
All right, 20 is your biggest fear.
Up until like having Georgia, I would have said sharks, 100% like sharks. But I think that has changed and like losing my family is my biggest fear. Like I just can't tell you how like we put her into her new toddler bed. So she's in a bed with no sides and she had her first night last night and it was really exciting. And I just spent the whole night and she slept through. I couldn't believe it. And at 4:00 in the morning, I'm checking on the monitor to make sure she's not suffocating. And she's fine, perfectly fine. And then like Andy and Georgia and Scully and Yana, our au pair, they all went up to Port Macquarie early because I was sick. And I was lying in bed and it was raining and I'm like, oh my God, like what happens if something happens? Like, you know, that spiral of like, what if I have a car accident and I lose all of these people? Like these are everything. These people are everything to me. So like that's become my new biggest fear. What would I do without these people who are my everything? But before that, sharks, definitely.
Common. Yeah, that's common. Once you have a child, that your perspective changes on life like that.
It fully does. And I of course it does. But I also like, you know, also with Andy, like, I don't know what I would do without him. Like, you know, I'd be left with this business and this kid and I wouldn't have him to like rely on and help and everything. I hear these. I am actually embarrassed to tell you how many bikes we have already.
Go on.
I think we have like 12 or 13 bikes.
So good.
So, and like I had to do a triathlon because I hadn't ridden my PT bike in so long that I'm like, do I sell it? But you know, Andy worked in the business, like he worked in bikes.
Yeah.
It's a small, I think.
That's what I am.
But yeah. Okay, well let's talk. I'm actually talking to someone about their bike too. I haven't told Andy this yet.
What have you got? What's your
This is a
tri-bike?
medium though, and I think it's too big for me. I've got a Cannondale Slice.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, it's nice. It's good. Honestly, I've had great experiences on it. So, and I've actually got a new frame because my frame was warranted. So it's kind of a new, like it's kind of new. But yeah, I had to do a like my I've got a cyclocross bike because I raced cyclocross for a little bit.
Yeah.
And so I've got a cyclocross bike, and then a mountain bike, and then a TT bike and a road bike. And Andy's got a couple of mountain bikes, and a dirt jumper, and a cyclocross bike and a road bike.
This is
and
great.
Then Georgia's got her little bike.
And more to come.
We told when we were looking for a house, and more to come, seriously. I'm like worried for when Georgia's old enough to start getting into bike stuff because like Andy loves her so much and he would do anything for that girl. He has him wrapped around her finger, and he bought her this bike, and it's like a proper bike. Like it's a Strider, but it's like got pump up wheels, and it's an aluminium frame, and you can add brakes to it, and like it's a proper bike. He bought it for her when she was like 1, and she did not even fit. Like the lowest setting, she couldn't even get her leg over it. He's like, we'll just push her around on it so she'll get a feel for it.
Yeah, that's the best. Well, this is the end of season 2, and I'm so grateful that you guys came on board to work alongside this pod, and it's been a great partnership, and hopefully we can continue into the future.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. It's been so awesome chatting, and sorry, I've taken so much of your time. Perfect. No, we're so stoked to be on board with you guys, and it's been so awesome to kind of follow along and everything, and I can't wait to hear what's in store for next season.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to have a month or 2 off recording the pod. The Tri-Series still has another 5 episodes to go, so that will be a bit further forward, but I think I've done the podcast now for almost a year non-stop, and I think I need a break because it takes a lot of effort, and then I'll come back fresh either a bit later in the year.
Oh, that sounds so smart. You got to have that time. Like you've got to have those breaks to be your best self. So
absolutely.
I think that is totally understandable. Well, I hope we finished on a good note.
We did. I was so glad that you came in as episode 20 in the end, so we could finish on a high there. So good. Thank you so much for your time today. And it was nice that I've known you for 4 years and we haven't even spoken in person.
I know, it's crazy, isn't it? Well, that's the reality of what we like. The job I do often is that it's so much over email or maybe some phone calls, and you just don't get the chance to kind of face to face with a lot of people. So it's awesome to do that. And I'm normally the one asking the questions, so it's like. And because I know I'm such a talker, I have to concentrate so hard on not talking.
How hard is it being
the other person talk?
Yes. Isn't it harder being the answer rather than I went on a podcast before just after Christmas, and oh my god, it was so hard not being the question asker. Yeah, it's really different. So no, thank you so much for the opportunity. It's so good to just chat about stuff. Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Yeah, and I've always been the belief so one of the things of one of our values of fuck average be extraordinary is someone actually wrote this back to me, which was awesome because this is exactly my intention for that value. It's don't be constricted by what society you think society thinks you can do. Just because someone says that's not possible doesn't mean it's not possible. And don't let people stop you from being your best self and achieving things. And one of the things we did to raise money for when Dad was diagnosed with the brain tumor
we raised money for Can2 Foundation. We swam from Shelley Beach to Palm Beach, which is a 27k swim off the shore of Sydney. And one of the boats, he's like, I'm not taking you because the weather's not good enough. And we're like, it's fine. Like, we'll be fine. And then he's like, I think it's too dangerous. And we're like, we'll be fine. And we were fine. And because we're all really strong swimmers and we know our capabilities and we know, all of those things, that, don't let other people say it's not possible, because it is, if you really want it to be. Yeah. So anyway, fun and games. It's cool. It's like cool to think about like stuff I've done, and the journey that kind of takes you to where you are. And also to like, when you put them side by side, I'm like, why did I keep doing this stupid sport? Like, I had terrible experience. Yeah, I just constantly chasing that high, like honestly chasing that feeling of like working hard and going through highs and lows and then achieving. Like, I wish I just had waited to do something really, really hard till I was a bit older. I had something else to work towards. Anyway, I'm doing a 50k trail run in October. Exactly. Yeah, it's just all building blocks to be the person you are. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That was the best. Thank you so much.
Amazing. Thank you. Bye.
And that's a wrap. Season 2 is all over. I'm so glad I got to finish it off with the lovely Lana talking all about how Live and Breathe started. It was such an inspirational story. But don't worry, guys, the Wellness League pod will be back for a season 3. I'm not going to say when, because I'm not going to put a date on it just yet, but I promise you we'll be back for more. But thank you all so much for your effort in listening to the past episodes. If you've missed any, go back and have a listen. It was a good quality worth of 2 seasons of this podcast. A big thank you for Live and Breathe for sponsoring this podcast. I've been testing out their running shorts and believe it or not, they are amazing. I have had so many problems with chafing with shorts and especially with running, and ever since I've got my Live and Breathe shorts, I've never had a problem. So go and buy yourself a pair at TWLPOD15. That will also be in the show notes. So that's Live and Breathe. You know what? While you're there, why don't you go and check out the Try Me series this Friday? We are talking everything warm up, cool down, what you should be doing. It is a wonderful ep. If you're loving the Try Me series, go and check out last week's episode all about how do you get your head in the game, whether that is how to stop a panic in the swim or just how to keep running. It was such an interesting ep. So thank you guys so much again for sticking around for season 2. Also there for a good laugh. Well, thank you for listening today. Much appreciate you staying around. Hope you enjoyed this pod. Please share it with a friend. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and don't forget to go and follow us on all of our social media pages at the Wellness League Pod. And if you want more of me, at discovering_ET. And, come back next week and listen to some more. Have a wonderful day. Have the best week, and we'll see you next Wednesday. Bye.